Yeah, for everyone's here, we probably wait for another like 1 minute and for people to dial in.
Yeah, we'll probably still see people join. The live stream is now up, so whenever you're ready, you're welcome to go ahead.
That's good. Thank you, David. Yes. Yes, it's now reached the 2 minutes past 9, and let's get started. Thank you, everyone, this morning to join this meetup. So you may be from Seattle or from San Francisco, and good morning, and from the world. So today we are honored to have speakers Ken, Abhishek, and Maggie to talk about real-life implementation of Hyperledger. Hope everyone enjoy the content and the day. So now heading over to Abhishek for starting the flow.
Yeah, thank you. I assume that the screen is visible. My slides are visible to everybody. And
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, Maggie, I think we can get started.
Sounds great. I don't know if you want to go into full screen mode or not. That might be nice.
I am on full screen mode.
I'm seeing the notes, but we can go with this if that works. I guess we'll just kick it off. If you go to the next slide, we can kick it off with an introduction of each of the participants today.
One second.
Oh, good. I think there's no screen sharing right now, but it should start again.
Yeah. Do you see my screen now?
Yep, I do, but I'm not sure. Some folks in the chat said they can't. Okay, now they can. Perfect. And are you able to make it a presentation mode?
Yes.
Awesome. While you're doing that, I'll pass it to Ken to introduce himself. And yeah, why don't you introduce yourself while we do that?
Sounds good. Thanks, Maggie. So my name is Ken Wayne. I work for Riverside County as the Assistant Assessor County Clerk Recorder. Although that's kind of more of an administrative role. However, my background is always in technology, information technology. So definitely honored to have this opportunity to really explore some of the use cases that we have kind of put together a proof of concept with our partners. So definitely look forward to sharing all of that. There you go. Thanks, Maggie.
Awesome. And I'm Maggie Hsu. I lead worldwide business development for Amazon's blockchain product, Amazon Managed Blockchain. I was previously at an Ethereum startup called AirSwap that was acquired by Consensus. And prior to that, I was chief of staff to Tony Hsieh, the former CEO of Zappos. I'll pass it to Abhishek for an intro.
Yeah, hello everybody. This is Abhishek Khare. I am a chartered accountant, so my primary skill is finance, risk management, governance. I am at Infosys. I am part of the consulting group that handles emerging technologies. Today, our area of interest would be the use of blockchain technology and how we have used it to take care of some of the problems that the county was facing.
Awesome. If you go to the next slide.
I'm on the managed blockchain slide.
Okay, I think you might be sharing a different screen because we're just seeing the Our Team Today slide still. Sorry all for the mix up. And I could probably go ahead and share my slides as well.
Yeah, you might be sharing the window versus the screen.
Yeah. While we sort that, if folks want to write where they're dialing in from and kind of just who they are, it'd be awesome to see that in the chat.
I think there's some problem if I make it full screen, otherwise.
Yeah, Abhishek, I can see it now. It's your slide 4, which is showing up. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Maggie, Maggie, can you see the slide 4?
I can, yeah. Why don't I go ahead and share my slides? It might just be easier that way.
Okay.
You're okay with it? Cool. If you could stop sharing and I can go ahead and share. Awesome to see where everyone's from. We got a lot of international folks who are up late. So Abhishek, if you stop sharing your screen, I can share mine.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
I don't know why there's a delay. Okay, we good?
Yes.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about the Amazon Managed Blockchain product, some challenges at Riverside, and then Infosys will deep dive into the solution and also share a brief demo of the solution itself. So what is Amazon Managed Blockchain? We are a fully managed service that makes it easy to create and join scalable blockchain networks using popular open source frameworks. So a few of the key benefits of Amazon Managed Blockchain: it's a fully managed service, and I think this is really the most important. So you're able to create networks in a matter of minutes rather than hours or days. The next one is open source variety. So we currently support Hyperledger Fabric and public Ethereum. The third is decentralization. So we've added governance features that make it easy to do things like add and remove members. The fourth is that it's reliable and scalable. So we've enhanced the open source service to allow for some additional features, such as the ordering service and different components there. The fifth is low cost. So you're only paying for the resources that you're using, and there's no upfront cost. And then the last one, like all AWS services, it's tightly integrated and coupled with other AWS services. This is just a quick flow of how you would create a Hyperledger Fabric network on Amazon Managed Blockchain. As you can see, it's a very few set of steps, so you can very quickly get from your network creation to inviting other members and really working on your business use case. And we like to say that we take care of the heavy lifting around the infrastructure so you can quickly solve your business problems. And Amazon Managed Blockchain is just one part of blockchain at AWS. We also have Amazon QLDB, which is more of a centralized database that allows for verifiability and auditability. We have over 90 marketplace offerings on our marketplace. We work with a number of public and private protocols, and we also have a number of consulting and technology partners. So, if there's blockchain, we probably have some sort of coverage at AWS, whether with our native services or our partner team. And so just sharing how this project came about, we were approached by Riverside, one of our customers, and they had an idea for a blockchain-based digital records management effort. And we connected them with Infosys, one of our partners, who has a lot of expertise in this area. So I will now pass it to Can from Riverside to share more about their challenge.
Great. Thank you, Maggie. So what I want to start with is definitely kind of share a little bit of our business. Because try to leverage technology to improve what we do, we first have to really understand the problem. So what I have in front of me, the slides in front of you is actually one of the first use case that we presented to our partners. As you can see, I literally just put down the health and safety code that we're pretty much in California as a county government, county clerk recorder. We're kind of governed and mandated to fulfill and execute the code. So I kind of took an abstract of the code in relation to one of our division that handles high volume of public services. And that service is actually specific to our citizens making requests for their vital records. So what constitutes the vital records is pretty much marriage certificate, your death or birth. As you can imagine, those are very important documents in our citizens' life. So sometimes they will need to make those requests and get an official copy, certified copy, to prove to whatever third party or business that they need to demonstrate, again, using those critical records. So I presented the verbiage, and kind of the abstract here is probably the important part. As you can read through the code, it is required us to use a very specific type of paper. We call it the banknote paper. And that paper is defined in this very specific way for a single purpose. The purpose is to make sure that it is authentic. The document that once we produce it and print your birth, marriage, or death information upon, that paper itself need to be trusted and proved to be original. And as you can imagine, with government, county government, all of this are written decades and decades ago, before the availability of all this capabilities to technology over the last decade. But yet we are still literally governed by this requirement. So we do have a safe that we keep piles and piles of banknote paper that we inventory very regularly, because we cannot afford to lose any single sheet of that paper, because of its importance to be authentic and proof of originality of all the certificates that we issue out. So that is definitely one of the business operations that does have a lot of cost, have a lot of labor involved as we try to fulfill this request. So below, I kind of illustrated a little bit of measurement in terms of what kind of volume and also costs that are associated with this type of operation. So as you can see, the last 3 years, we handle 80,000, 90,000, and obviously 2020 due to COVID, that's kind of an outlier. So the volume dropped. But on the right side, I also show you the cost that we charge the citizens when they do make such a request. Now, as a local government, when we do ask for a fee or charge a fee for the service, those fees are based on the cost of labor involved to actually deliver the service. For example, so if we're to fulfill a request for a birth certificate, the cost and all the labor involved throughout the process of handling a physical paper-centric process is about $28 per document. Now, you can also imagine, because the volume and the transaction varies between year to year, and there's really not a good way to forecast this type of stuff. We have to do fee studies periodically to make sure we are only charging what the cost is to us. So that's another undertaking that we have to do regularly, which is a pretty big endeavor to try to factor in all the labor associated to fulfilling those type of work. So that's one of the first use case. Now, so when we brought it to my partners, AWS and Infosys, the goal is definitely to say, all right, we really need to take another look at how we can approach this. Our ultimate goal is definitely to find more efficiency and cost effectiveness of doing this business, because it is our mandate to fulfill this type of work. I did include a Senate Bill 689 that's specific here in California, and I extrapolated the verbiage. This is something that we're all very excited about, because there's actually a Senate bill currently in the works to revamp or amend, and I'm sure what the jargon is for legislative process, but there is effort to actually update the safety code to include blockchain as a potential delivery mechanism, to allow us to really have the option to leverage the state-of-the-art blockchain technology to fulfill requests digitally. So that's currently in the works. And at the timeline, I just learned that 2 weeks ago, the timeline may be kind of pushed out. We were hoping this will go through the process by end of this calendar year. I believe there's some delay happening, so I need to really get my head around exactly what the timeline looks like from this point forward. But the good thing is, I think we all feel pretty confident it's going to happen, and it's something that Sacramento, our state capital, is looking at, and they have work groups and whatnot, and supporters as well. Can we go to the next slide, please, Maggie? Thank you. The second use case is something more specific internally to our county government. So as part of our responsibility as assessor county clerk recorder, we are also responsible to service our internal customers, which is 40 plus other departments within County of Riverside. So our responsibility is also handling record retention. So as part of government entity, depending on what kind of business and what kind of state code or regulations that you are bid by to do your operations, such as social services, sheriffs, human resources, and so on and so forth, there is requirement to retain records or official records for a period of time. So HR may have a 30 plus years of retention schedule based on employee information, or 70 years, or accounting may have 7 years of records for accounting related. So as you can imagine, as a county government, we have all kinds of rules about how long we need to keep the official original record in storage until it expires that time frame. Then we can send those official records for destruction. So we, as an assessor county clerk reporter, we are the kind of the service provider to facilitate, to make sure that most of those records are in compliance with their retention schedule, based on whatever that requirement is, for that line of business. So again, I did the same thing. So that's our business. And the picture you see in front of you on the slide is actually our warehouse. This is just one row of our warehouse from 3 years ago. And we have rows and rows and rows that in our warehouse that look just like that, that we intake all the boxes and boxes of records, and we cover them. We make sure we understand the retention schedule. We categorize them, ID them, we link them, and then we make sure we track them until the retention timeline is expired. Then we retrieve them for destruction, or when the business is required to pull out their archive for whatever legal purposes or research purposes, then we have to go retrieve those boxes and actually deliver them back to the business for them to use. And all this revolves around, again, paper-centric, original, official copy of that record. And that's the trust aspect of it. People want to retain the original, or the law requires us to retain the original, unaltered version of the truth. And the best way to do it is actually to take those papers and shelve them onto a shelf somewhere. And then we make sure that there's governance around those boxes that people cannot temper or destroy them. So again, the stats, as you can see, we have 200,000 plus boxes. And those are just the boxes that we know of that are submitted to us. There's unknown number of official records that is planned to come to us or supposed to come to us, or the departments are currently holding them until they have the resources to actually put them onto a schedule. And until they come to us, I don't know the extent of the universe of how many more boxes is coming or should be coming. But you can imagine the logistics of us running a warehouse operation just to maintain boxes and store them. Now, 3 years ago, because of all the costs associated to housing all this here internally, I did lead the effort to actually outsource the handling of the physical paper, even though we're still the governing entity around it. But yet the physical and logistical work were outsourced to a third party that provides, an economy of scale for the component of housing them. And on the right, you can kind of see an abstract of the costing involved now that is handled by a third party. I just put out a few to kind of let you understand. If I am housing them, I have a team of 6 or 7 people, I have X amount of square footage. Whether or not the shelves are filled up or not, there is a fixed cost that I have to plan for the maximum capacity that may or may not come to. Now, when we outsource it, we do have advantage of variable costing based on the volume that we actually need. But then the complication is, depending on what you need, when you need it, how often you need it, the cost, there's about 50 different line items of different charge types that we had to figure out based on what is being stored or retrieved. And that adds a lot more administrative overhead as well. But overall, we did achieve some cost savings by outsourcing. But at the root of this is that paper-centric operation that we could not get past or get around because of the paper-centric approach to things. The delay, the lag, the lead time as well as number of people and the labor involved in touching that physical process or the paper-centric process. Those are the costs that we were able to continue to maximize or build in more efficiency increase because we are literally down to the point where that paper is the root of the challenge. So Maggie, next slide, please. So those two use cases are the ones that we brought forward to try to tackle with our partners. As you can see, so why blockchain, right? The left vertical showing you what I just described, paper-centric processes that we have to touch, and there's physical logistics happening to make things work for what we do. Now, the green vertical is digitizing it, right? So whether or not you have a scanned process to take all your paper and to scan them, and from that point forward, we can use digital process, which is much more efficient, accurate, and timely. Or you literally bypass the scanning and just create your process using digitally born documents and never really make it a physical version of it. Either way, there's plenty of solutions out there and providers that can help us digitize. So that is not the challenge. We know a lot of vendors out there that can have a system to facilitate workflow, all kinds of digital information. But that vertical and that solution doesn't solve the underlying challenge that we have as a county government, which is the trust of that document that they're seeing in front of them for whatever reason. There has to be a level of confidence and trust and immutability, using the jargon, that people have to know that was the source of truth, that was the original version. And from that point of creation, or whenever in the process that document or information is dubbed as now the official record, it has to be verifiable. And obviously paper delivers that, whether or not, again, using physical paper type that only government can retrieve or purchase, or housing, forms or papers that we require people to sign using the blue ink onto the sheet. Those are all mechanisms written in our regulations or code to protect trust of the originality of that document. So having the ability to digitize the vertical is only the one end of the situation or solution. The trust mechanism was never really, there's no good solution out there for a long time until blockchain comes along. So as you can imagine, blockchain delivers that trust component, immutability, and it allows us to be verifiable documents of its authenticity. So obviously you can imagine the value coming out of that, having blockchain fit in the last component that was missing to complete the digital transformation of government. That was the missing piece, and now it is mature enough for us to really, really take a look at how we can pretty much change and evolve and transition into a digital world. Next slide, please, Maggie. So at the end, I will conclude the business case. This is my boss, the elected Honorable Riverside County Clerk Recorder. Here's at Riverside County, Peter Aldana. This is his quote, and we're striving to live up to it. One thing I do want to make a comment is we are in the business of serving our customers, our citizens. We're in the business of making sure that our citizens' records are kept safe and we're able to deliver to them. We are not in the business to be the next .com. And with all this latest technology and advancement, we do not want to be in the position, and we probably will never be able to achieve to be in a position that we are the most advanced IT shop that can deliver all this for our core business. And understanding that early on, we need partners such as AWS and Infosys. We need the industry leaders that knows all this to kind of help us, that allow us to do what we do and what we're mandated to do as our core business, which is public service to our citizens. So that's why we're very grateful to have this opportunity to really explore all these challenges and potential opportunities with great partners such as AWS and Infosys. And we have definitely achieved some great stuff together. So that's kind of the business side of things scenario. So I will pass it back to Maggie.
Awesome. I'll pass it to Abhishek, I think, for the next part.
Yeah. So I hope I'm audible. Yeah.
Yeah, Abhishek, go on.
Okay. So I will, from this slide, I will just concentrate on the box or the content under the Infosys solution, or the part which is handled by blockchain, and what functionality of blockchain are we using in this particular solution that we made for Riverside. So what we are doing is, we all know that the record that we are handling is personally identifiable information. So it is very sensitive. What we are doing is, in the first part of the solution, we are computing the hash of the digital record. Okay, so it could be a PDF, which is in the form, which is the PDF of a marriage certificate or a birth certificate. We compute the hash of that record, and that hash is what is stored onto the blockchain. Okay, so the document per se, the personally identifiable information never enters the blockchain. So that is one very significant part of our solution. And obviously from the hash, it is impossible to, create a document and, look at the uh, information that is contained in the record. Next, what we do is, since this hash is now residing on the blockchain and the digital record is handed over to the citizen, either in the form of an email or, in some way, the PDF document goes to the citizen. Now, this citizen might use his record, which could be a birth certificate or a marriage certificate, where he submits these again in digital format to other departments, to other service providers. It could be government departments, it could be private departments. Now, when these departments receive these records, some department, let's say the passport department receives the marriage certificate, so that the name of the spouse can be entered onto the passport. And before they do that, they want to verify this marriage certificate, whether this marriage certificate is authentic or not. So that is where we start the second part of the solution. So the verifiers now want to verify the authenticity of the record. For this, in a paper-based, a conventional way of doing it, they would have put a request to the assessor's office. The assessor's office would have received those details. They would have looked up in their records. If it is a recent one, probably they look it up in their systems. If it is a very old one, they go to those, those warehouses where these things are kept, and they verify it, and then they communicate it to the verifier. So that involves time, that involves cost, and that also makes the experience for the citizen not so good. So that is where the second part of the solution comes in. The county also now has a verifying portal. So any third party who is receiving such a record can simply drag and drop the credential onto that particular portal. That portal, what it does is, it again computes the hash of that document which it has received, and that hash is compared with the hash of the document when the document was issued. So if the hash matches, then the document is authentic, and the verifier, it could be the passport office in my example, they are convinced that the document is authentic and they can process it. So this becomes the, when we say instantaneous authentication, this is what we mean, that the verifier, any verifier can verify this official record or a personally identifiable record provided by the citizen. The citizen himself can go to this portal and verify his record before he wants to submit it externally to any other department. Maggie, can you go to the next one? So this is an animated overview of the solution. Immediately after this, I will go into the demo video. So the citizen requests for a digital identity from the county, from the assessor's office. Uh, Assessor office provides the digital record. They might also provide the physical record alongside. But what they do is they put the hash of that document onto the blockchain. If you can click it once more. Now the citizen submits this to any other department. In my example, it was the passport office. So he submits it to the passport office. The passport office now simply drags and drops it onto the verifying portal. That verifying portal is connected to the blockchain again. He gets an OK or a warning or an error that that there has been some tampering with this document. So depending on that, the other department can take the subsequent action. Now all of these actions of issuing of the credential, the credential being verified by some other department, all of these actions are also recorded onto the blockchain. So these are the transactions that the blockchain records, and an audit of this is also enabled in our solution. So if later on, the other department is questioned whether did you actually verify the credentials of the citizen before you issued them a passport, so they can show them the audit record also. We can go to the next slide. What we have done is in this 45 minutes or 1 hour that we have today, we had Can, who has explained very beautifully what the problem is. We had Maggie, who explained us how the infrastructure and how the technology stack builds up. I have explained you the blockchain part of it and what exactly are the actions that happen, what exactly is the feature of blockchain that we are using here. But in addition to that, all the three of us have co-authored a white paper. TechWire has also featured it. So you can go to any of these sites and have a deep dive into the solution that we have built. We can go to the next slide, and probably you will have to stop sharing so that I can play the demo video. Please do let me know when you are able to see my screen so that I'll then start playing the video.
We can see it, yep.
Okay, so this is the login screen of the admin in the assessor's office. So we are going to now see the steps by which he issues a digital credential. Here we are issuing a marriage certificate in a PDF form. So they log into this solution. They enter the metadata related to this issuance of digital record. Any comments that he wants to put in, that goes in. And this is the step where he's picking up the marriage certificate.
I think the screen is frozen, Abhishek.
Okay.
We're still seeing the login screen.
Okay, 1 second. Devapam, can you help me here? Is it moving now?
No, Abhishek. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
You can just voice over.
Okay. Yeah, Devapam, just share.
It's taking a little time to open the application. Just give me 1 minute.
And please keep the questions coming. I know we're answering some of them as we go, and we'll leave time to answer the rest at the end.
Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Just go ahead.
Yeah. So So the login happens, the admin enters the metadata related to the issuance of the marriage certificate. Once he has done that, he goes to the next step. The next step is to actually give the digital record. So here he picks up the marriage certificate and drops it into the window in that website on that portal. The hash is generated. He sees a acknowledgement that the hash has been generated and it has been posted onto the blockchain. From the admin's perspective, there are also some reports that are available relating to all the records that he has issued, he or his colleagues have issued, and Excel of this can also be exported. So any MIS related to this, again in the digital format, it can be done easily from the solution itself. Devamu, you want to take a pause here? Yeah. So what we saw up till now is the first part of the solution, that the admin is issuing the credential or the marriage certificate. And like we saw, the drag and drop is not an upload of the marriage certificate into the blockchain. Only the hash is computed and the hash is stored onto the blockchain. Now we go to the next step. Before the next step, what is happening before the next step is that the citizen has received this digital record and he might have probably emailed it to the passport office, and now the passport office wants to verify it. Yeah, please go ahead. So now the passport office is opening the verifying portal of the county. They have received this document. They are dropping this document onto this portal for the purpose of verification. They click on the validate button. Within a few seconds, they get a message that the document has been verified and it is a exact electronic reproduction of the original. So this, there has been no tampering in this document, and this is a valid document. This action of verification also gets recorded onto the blockchain. So like I was saying, it can be used as evidence later on that the verification was done by that external department before they issued any other credential. We're also, so if there is any tampering in the document and a tampered document is put in for verification, then what happens is that again, they're dropping a document, the document is actually tampered. They're trying to verify it, but the verification fails. Even this action gets recorded onto the blockchain. So nothing much we have done for such an event. We will just tell the citizen that you have given us a wrong credential, please give us the correct one, and the citizen will give them a correct one. The audit that I was talking about, we have enabled that also in the solution. Here there are several ways of doing the audit of transactions. One way of that is again uploading a file. So this is the auditor or some other allied department which is picking up that credential again and is trying to verify it. So trying to get an audit trail of it. So in the audit trail, they can clearly see the metadata associated with it, and the transactions that have happened, when it was issued, who had issued it, when was the verification done, whether the verification was successful or not. So this, in a very short video, I have tried to explain the way we have used a very simple feature of blockchain, and we have tried to solve a complex problem that the county was facing. We plan to now take this to other counties along with AWS. CAN is also helping us in doing a lot of road shows. We will be taking it to more counties, probably to more states as well. From a citizen's perspective, it actually makes him mobile. So if he's moving from one county to the other, and for any reason he wants to submit his marriage certificate or birth certificate, the other county will also be able to the other county will also be able to verify it instantly. The other departments in that county or the new state where he is moving will be able to verify it instantly. For any legal related things or any investigation related things, if an audit has to be done, whether the documents were verified before the credentials were issued, all that can be enabled. So this is my part, and I'll take a pause here. And I think, Maggie, we can go to the Q&A part of it.
Okay, awesome. Sounds great. I think we answered most of the questions in the chat, but just I think one additional for each of us that we missed. So for Can, the question is, are the fees paid directly by the requester of the documents, or does the recorder also incur fees?
If that's referring to existing operations, I think we include all costs to generate or come up with the fee that we're charging. Now, if that's relating to the blockchain aspect of it, kind of envisioning how the fees will be calculated to charge, we don't have that answer yet. But I think just very preliminary, kind of just getting our head around the fact that we will be able to leverage, all the kind of the variable costing as a service using AWS model, cloud concept. That is something that we feel is going to see some cost saving for sure. Because keep in mind, we have to hire, let's just say at the peak, we handle 10,000 requests per month. We staff at the peak, just like building out infrastructure. Right, we buy enough servers just because once in 1 month in a year, we're gonna peak it out because it's the most important part of the month. And then we always kind of provision based on the highest level possible. That concept is no different for us staffing folks, even though sometimes the windows, nobody shows up, but we still have 5 staff sitting there, try to potentially fulfill that. So we will know that a little bit more down the road as we continue to evolve this into production version of it. I do. If I can take 1 minute to add just one more thing on what was just shared, just so the audience understand the beauty of what AWS and Infosys did with this proof of concept is, although you see the demo of loading a PDF to get it hashed and stored, but what they have also done is they wrote an API. So that interface was actually used and created for us to demo and walk through audiences about how that architecture worked. In reality, the API, we have our line of business applications that I can call the API and automatically send the metadata in the digital version of the file into this exact same proof of concept blockchain. So that process there, we can make it without human intervention and truly deliver and have the potential to deliver a full e-commerce experience. So think about this, right? You go to Amazon, you select a product, but in this time, you're going to select a marriage license, and you go through proving who you are through various different ID proofing capability, and then you put in your credit card, you hit submit, and 5 minutes later, you're going to get an email with your birth certificate that you just purchased. And because of that integration and how this is actually architected, I can connect all kinds of line of business application that we currently use or we will develop to facilitate paper-centric process, and then literally just tie it into this back-end architecture, and then truly streamline the operation experience. Hopefully I answered that, Maggie. Turn it back to you.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Pretty exciting. The next set of questions was around pricing. So I've included a link to our pricing page, as well as the network architecture. We're actually working on a blog post around this, and I think that'll be in there. So happy to send that along when it's live. And then the final set of questions, more on the technical side, I'll give to Abhishek. So the first one is, does the hash include more than the checksum of the file, and things like date time that would constitute a new hash?
I'm not sure if I got the question right, but the hash is totally generated from the algorithm. The hash per se does not contain any information about, the date or the date of birth or the marriage date or the people who are getting married and so on. So it's totally a alphanumeric string, and yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question.
Yeah, feel free to chime in, but I think those were all the questions. I don't know if anyone else wants to ask a question, either in the chat or live.
I can see one question which talks about, are you storing the docs on centralized server? So for the solution part of it, like I said, the document actually never enters the blockchain. We just take the hash and that is what we are handling in the blockchain. Probably can answer, is there some kind of a digital document management solution that they're using for all the documents that they are handling?
Yeah, that's correct. I think most of our department definitely have a document management system where a lot of our existing documents or digital versions of it already reside. So that's where we plan to house those original source documents. We don't intend of putting those source documents onto blockchain for both security destruction requirements, right? So even though the hash of a document that's supposed to be destroyed after 7 years, we can delete the PDF in our own document server, and just leave the hash out there forever, because hash itself is not the document. It is a verification and the fingerprint of that source document, but we will have possession of that document within county infrastructure at all times.
Right. There is one last question. How many organizations and peers are involved in the solution? In this POC, it is, I think, only one node for the assessor's office. The beauty of this solution is that the verifier need not have a node. So, he just goes to the verifying portal. He has not subscribed to any service either from Infosys or from blockchain or from AWS. He has received a digital credential. He drops it into the verifying portal and he gets a message whether it's authentic or not. So yeah.
And I will add a little bit to that. Our grander vision as kind of a leading the charge, leveraging technology for the rest of the California, to be quite frank, that's our vision. We are envisioning that we want to build a sort of a work group or consortium of counties who are willing to stand up a node. Right. And because every county has this business, we all do the same thing. And then obviously the stronger the fabric or the participants are, the more secure, the better for the infrastructure of blockchain. And we also will be able to leverage each other because, again, our citizens cross counties, right? They move from one place to another. So having that one central architecture and the same model of governance, and we can all take advantage of it, is kind of where we're leaning towards how to build up that consortium. I do also see a question that came up about the certified copy of real estate tax. we are definitely open. I think for the proof of concept, I've shown the 2 use cases, but I can assure you that is not where it's going to end. Because as I mentioned earlier, if we stood this up correctly, where this is a very county specific backend blockchain capability that we can easily integrate to any line of business and any line of business application that facilitate, for example, certificate, estate tax or social services that need to issue whatever letters that's of importance. Anybody can tie into this blockchain fabric and send in the hash and the metadata to leverage this ability of literally stamping it point in time to prove the authenticity of a document at that process for that business. So, if we do this right, this is the foundation to allow multiple county government entities, departments revolutionize how they handle their work. And they can literally just hook into it whenever they're ready or wanted to transform. So hopefully I answered that question.
Yep.
Awesome. I don't know if you guys want to close it out.
So it looks like we have get to a natural wrap up, and thank you everyone for participating. And Maggie, Ken, Abhishek, and the team have an awesome presentation. Feel free to reach out to the speakers, and hope everyone have a good day and a week.
Thank you so much, Buri. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.